Hey guys, here's a quick guide on Zerg, a game in the StarCraft 2 arcade. So the first thing you need to know is that there's a generator which produces energy, which your units need to attack. So the first thing you're going to do when you start the game is you're going to start with 3 Marines. You're going to send 2 Marines to the wider choke area, and then 1 Marine to the area with the less choke. And then your battery that you started with, you're going to move it to the generator and then start a patrol between the 2 Marines and then the 1 Marine, and that will allow energy to go from this building to your units so they can attack. And then you also start with 2 SCVs. You're going to create refineries and farms. The refineries are going to allow you to generate gas income, and the farms allow you to generate mineral income. Next thing you know about the units, they are created out of these barracks. You can create a shock trooper in the early game. The shock trooper has an AoE ability which will allow you to defend yourself if the Zerg tries to clump up the units. So like if they clumped up the units, you'd be able to AoE them down. And then next there's a rock that spawns here. You're going to want to make 6 Reapers. You can just right click Reapers until you have 6 of them, and it'll kill the rock here, allowing you to expand to this area, which will allow you to make another refinery, more farms. Next you need to know is that there's 3 ways to generate gas. You've got these refineries, which can be upgraded for 80 minerals to double their gas income. And then there's a construction yard, which we'll talk about later, which is an advanced building, which has the research gas extraction. And then you can also kill hatcheries right here, which will produce a buggo unit, and that gives you income or gas income. You can just put them behind your command center where it's safe. And then in addition to farms to generate gas income, you can create like cow farms or sheep farms. Not only does this building produce minerals, but you can make 1 cow per building and just send them over here. You can see some cows grazing. You can have 3 cows or sheep per farm. Next thing you need to know is that if you look in, your SCVs make everything. You can see walls here. Farms is the next building, which is right here. You can also make power pylons, which allow your batteries to not have to go all the way back to the generator. They can just go back. So I created a chain of power pylons from my generator all the way to my armory, so that hypothetically I could just have my batteries patrol from this power pylon to my units, which is way better. The next building you need to know about is the sentry gun. You don't really need to make them every game, but it's just a strategy you can do. You can make gates, which can be raised and lowered, allowing units to go in and out of them. You can create sheep farms, which we talked about earlier. I wouldn't worry about converters. They're used for some pretty meme strats. Good players don't usually use them that much. Refineries are for gas income, as we mentioned earlier. And then the last building is the cow farm, which we talked about for mineral income. Then on the tech structures, the V advanced structure key, you can see that there's construction yard, armory, and tech lab. You can make 1 of each. You can have all 3, and they all have 2 components to them. They have the buff around them, and they have upgrades that you can research. So this is the first one. It's the construction yard. Nearby structures take 40% less damage and regenerate slowly. So it's really good with walls, for example, as you can see here in the middle of the screen. And if you look at the upgrades in here, it's a little bit of gas income, mineral income, and wall upgrades. And then also the sentry guns. I would not worry about siege tank. They're pretty horrible in the current patch, and this game isn't updated very often. The next building is the armory. Everything within this circle gets +2 range and +1 damage. When these Marines have 3 base damage, that makes it into 4, which is pretty good. And then also has upgrades for Marines and a few for shock troopers, but Marines are pretty much the go-to in this game, except for early game you might want 1 to 3 shock troopers and like 6 Reapers, just for killing the rock is the Reapers' purpose. And then like you can send the Reapers over here to maybe get you another gas. But yeah, the best upgrade is Shattering Laser by far, because it allows your Marines to do multi-target, which is the biggest damage increase. And yeah, just all the Marine upgrades are good, but I would focus on Shattering Laser first. Next, we have the Tech Lab. So the tech lab needs energy. It has 0,000 energy right now. So you have to turn, it starts like this. So you have to right click charge up and then left click automatic charging. And then that would allow it to be automatically charged whenever there's a battery nearby. And this does damage. The more levels you put into it, basically every time you get to 1,000, you can prestige it for the next one. And if you prestige it like 3 times, it'll be 8 damage, 4 times 9 damage. And then you can use those charges, which I always call them prestiges, to do like different temporary bonuses. So for example, you can give energy, you can scan, you can create a talus for 25 of them. You can do a stasis cannon, which is good for like protecting your allies, and a power field, which is good for nullifying armors to kill Brutos, but also good for +3 damage. So next we'll talk about there's like different setups you can have. So for example, here we have just a normal setup, but there's many different setups you can do in this game. For example, here's one where instead of like an armory, you have a tech lab, or you can have an armory back here too, in addition. And then, so leans are going to funnel down here, and they're not going to attack the SCV, which I have in hold position here. So they would have to manually attack this SCV, or else they would get stuck. And then I have a few Marines in the back line here to kill those Zerg lanes that will leak through here, and maybe like, this shouldn't be open, maybe like a Mariner here to help with this damage. So you mostly have the tech lab dealing damage here, and the tech lab does not use energy to attack. So this is a way to conserve energy, and it's kind of greedy strat because they can kill it with Ravagers. So that's just a way to counter it. Here's another one. This is a very aggressive playstyle when you're getting very early upgrades and you just want a base where you can go in and out really easily, but also like units have to go all the way around. You can only have one armory, so pretend this cow farm is actually an armory. And same thing here. Pretend this cow farm is an armory. So I have Marines surrounding this. This is walled off. So units are going to go through this maze-like structure here, and you have a supply depot for a little bit easier attacking. And then you can have an SCV here on hold position, which I actually hit it as well as I could. So it's actually kind of hard to click these, and like if the Zerg manually has to do it, that's really annoying. Most of the time if you hold down delete, you can have it sideways, but that's super annoying for Zerg. So these hold position SCVs can be really strong. Here's another possible setup. The strength of this is that your armory is super far back. So the buildings that are spawning units aren't going to be killed as often, which means you're going to just see less units overall. And then you can have like an incomplete wall and use some SCVs for repairing. And just basically you get less sends, so you can conserve more energy here. And then here's more of a late game setup. You fully wall off this area, have some units here to defend, and then have your armory out here and get your 5th and 6th gases out. So you're going to have a very strong economy. You have a few SCVs, a little bit of opening here just so you get all the funneling into here. And it's really annoying for Zerg they don't really have a lot of room to create buildings to spawn, to send stuff here. So they have to go a really long way to attack. And it can be a super strong setup, but you'd have to be able to defend 3 choke points here, here, and here, which can be a little bit tough for newer players. So this is just a end game idea, or like once you get better at the game, but it'll definitely pay for itself. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about Zerg Hex Survivors. Next up is Zerg.